Good Tuesday morning, everybody, and thanks for being with us here on KXAN Live. Will DuPree in the KXAN Live studio. We're looking live right now outside in downtown Austin from the Austonian camera. What a gorgeous day. So much to talk about in that regard, but we can't complain too much about the weather right now because what's happening along the Florida coast with so many preparations underway for the approaching hurricane that's there. We're going to track its direction in just a moment, but first we want to start with meteorologist Kristen Currie telling us about this gorgeous fall weather we're having.
It is so nice outside, Will. I think it's the first thing you notice, and most of us notice walking out the door this morning is, whoa, it's cooler.
Yeah,
you know?
it is, and it was so nice. I mean, what a welcome change.
Oh, we've been waiting for this for a long time. It's been a long summer, right? Let me show you our low temperatures for the day because these occurred early in the morning. How about 40s out in Lerno in Gillespie County? Like, yes, we're finally in that sweater weather. Now, I know it's only one day, right? But we're excited about it because those 50s and 60s felt really good this morning across the Austin Metro. We bottomed out at 61 degrees. Now, I'll tell you, it's about 10:01. We've started that warm-up process already. We're in the 60s now out in the Hill Country, 70s out across the Austin Metro, including here in the city, and then we've got those 70s out in our eastern counties. Where are we going with those 70s? Well, we're back to the 90s, yes, but our humidity is low. So the 90s aren't going to quite feel as uncomfortable or stuffy as what we had earlier in the summer. I mean, look at the trend of the numbers too. Low 90s today, low 90s tomorrow and Thursday, Friday. The coolest day of the next 7. We're looking at a forecast high of 88 degrees, Will.
How long has it been since we've had temperatures like that? I mean, where it seems to be about average at this point.
I know, it's crazy. And what's even more crazy is those overnight lows. Those morning temperatures are about 10 degrees cooler than normal. We haven't seen those 50s and 60s since May, since spring, really. So it has been months since we've seen a morning like this. The afternoon high is a little slower to respond, right? Dry air, really easy to cool down. That heat escapes quickly, but unfortunately, the backside of that, it's really easy to heat up, which is why our afternoon highs are not quite as pronouncedly cooler as what we had in the morning. But at least we do have the low humidity on our side. I think that's going to be, it makes those 90s tolerable. It makes it more enjoyable to be outside, whether you're doing soccer practice, playground, or even just sitting out on happy hour. I think you're going to enjoy those conditions for the next several days.
And as you're showing there, the muggy meter, not too much activity at all.
That low humidity here to stay, which we love to see. Now, always, there's going to be the flip side of it, right? The low humidity comfortable, but unfortunately, low humidity means no moisture, means no rain. So our rain chances are non-existent this week. We don't have anything within the next 6 to 7 days. At the earliest, we've got one forecast model potentially sort of maybe kind of giving us a little bit of Pacific moisture about middle next week, so maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but not all of our forecast models are showing that. So our confidence is very low on when we're going to see our next pattern change.
Again, not too much to talk about with the weather here in Central Texas, but you all here at KXAN have been tracking what's happening in the tropics.
Yes.
What's the update that you can share about Hurricane Ian?
Okay, let's get into it because I want to tell you Hurricane Ian made its first landfall in Cuba earlier this morning. So let me show you what this tropical satellite looks like because this thing is mean. It now has that well-defined eye, right? That middle center. As far as landfall goes, it was a Category 3 storm at landfall, which is considered major. It was in Cuba at about 4:30 local time. But when it comes to where this storm is going, we're concerned because it is likely and expected that this will hit Florida. What's also concerning is not only is it strengthening, but it's going to continue to strengthen, it looks like, into that Category 4 storm later on this evening. So notice those winds go from 115 miles per hour to 130 miles per hour. Continues to move towards the north and northeast. Now, some of the newest forecast runs this morning, or the different forecast computer models, had shifted that track a little further to the east. So instead of coming right into the middle of Tampa Bay, it was just south of that as a Category 3 storm, though. So as far as impacts are concerned, this thing is going to affect the entire state of Florida. But where exactly the center goes, there's still a little bit of wiggle room from just north of Tampa down towards Fort Myers. And as you can see, it's going to continue to slowly make its way towards the north. And a Category 3, Category 4 storm That's a bad storm. A Category 3, Category 4 storm moving at 3-4 miles per hour, that's a devastating storm. We're very concerned about storm surge, considering there's going to be hours of water being just pushed onshore, that Florida coastline here. Some of those storm surge predictions are anywhere from about 5 to 10 feet. And then you throw the rainfall on top of it, it's going to be a lot of water. And I think of all the hurricane concerns, all those hazards, this storm will be defined by water. We've got hurricane warnings up, tropical storm warnings up, tropical storm watches. I mean, basically, you've got most of the state of Florida underneath some kind of tropical warning here. And like I said, the rainfall is not something to be written off. 10 to 20 inches of rainfall on top of a 5 to 10 foot storm surge. I mean, this is going to be a very powerful storm for the state of Florida.
You mentioned there that the strengthening of it will likely happen later today. What is it about the conditions in the Gulf there and in that section of the ocean that makes it so?
Well, those waters down there, and I can go back, those are like by bath water, really. Those temperatures in the ocean are mid to upper 80s, and hurricanes feed on those warmer waters, right? We don't have a whole lot of destructive winds in the atmosphere right there. You'll notice, though, as we get a little closer to the coastline, there's some dry air, and there's a little bit of some wind shear, those winds going at different directions up higher in the atmosphere. And those winds act to destroy or kind of rip apart the hurricane a little bit, which is why we're forecasting it to weaken just slightly. But if you're living in the Tampa Bay area, or if you got friends and family in the area, that Category 3 is going to feel like a Category 4, regardless if it comes down or weakens just a little bit. It's still going to be a very powerful storm coming on shore, it looks like, with winds of about 130 miles per hour per the latest update.
So the track right there that shows it hitting potentially around Wednesday morning.
Yeah, it's interesting. They've kind of sped that up a little bit. We were initially thinking late Wednesday night into Thursday morning, but some of even the high resolution forecast models I was looking at this morning want to bring it in as early as tomorrow afternoon, evening. So it's something we're going to be watching for. Obviously, as that track kind of shifts a little further towards the south, it would hit land a little sooner, right? If it starts to shift further west, then the center itself would be a little bit more delayed, making landfall. The angle at which this storm is going to hit Florida is also a concern, because typically when we see a landfall, a very powerful landfall, it's perpendicular, right? Just slams into a coastline, then it keeps going. Because this is a little bit more at an angle, there's going to be a longer stretch of those destructive eye wall winds around that Florida coastline, which is pretty concerning, So storm surge, destructive winds, heavy rainfall, all of these ingredients coming together to make for a very powerful Hurricane Ian, Category 3, maybe even 4, landfall in Florida tomorrow.
All right. Well, we will definitely be tracking that, and you all will be sharing the latest updates. Wanted to pass along this update, too, from the Austin Fire Department. They just tweeted a few moments ago that 4 firefighters are going to assist as part of a statewide deployment to Florida in anticipation of the landfall. And there you see at the end of the tweet, the fire department is asking people to keep these firefighters and their families in your thoughts and prayers as they head into a soon-to-be Category 4 storm. We will be, again, tracking their whereabouts and what kind of work they'll be doing, whether or not also more firefighters are going to be deployed there from our area because of just how devastating and large this storm is.
Yeah, and well, it's interesting too, with hurricanes, it's a severe weather mode, right? But the evacuation started yesterday, so I'm really hoping that people heeded those warnings, especially because there's a good chunk of the population in Florida that's a little bit older, right? A lot of those snowbirds who like to go down there and spend those warmer winters in Florida. So we want to make sure everybody makes it out ahead of Ian, because it's also a pretty skinny state. There's not a whole lot of places to go east and west. You need to evacuate north because, as you can clearly see on tropical satellite, we're already picking up heavy rain in the Florida Keys. We're already seeing heavy rain in Miami here, and that's only going to intensify and get worse as Hurricane Ian slowly moves its way towards the north.
Meteorologist Kristen Currie, thank you for joining us for this update, not only about the really nice weather that we're experiencing here in Central Texas, but what's in store there for Florida as the Hurricane Ian approaches the coastline there.
Of course.
All right, thank you all for watching as well. You can find full forecast details as well as track the direction of Hurricane Ian. You can watch that on our website, kxan.com, and check out the KXAN News mobile and weather apps there on your smartphone. Please download those if you haven't done so already. Thank you all again for watching. We'll see you back here throughout the day with other updates. Please stay safe and healthy. Take care.